All right, good evening. I call the February 10th, 2026 regular board meeting to order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We all have a copy of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
On motion, we approve the agenda.
And we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And next item of business is approval of minutes. Everybody had an opportunity to review the February 3rd, 2026 minutes. So we have a motion to approve.
So
Aye.
moved.
So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item of business is public comments. Is there any public that wishes to comment?
That would be me, and the answer is no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to the new business, election of vice chair. As you all know, we do not, or we're not required to have a vice chairman of the board, but I asked Ms. Holloway to put this on the agenda for today, that we do have the election of a vice chair. I would like to nominate Allison Powers as vice chair of the board.
And I'll second that.
Are there any, do we have to vote on that, or do we do other nominations? So, okay, do I have, all those in favor of Ms. Powers as vice chair, say aye?
Aye.
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 That's unanimous. Moving on, resolution, activity at early voting sites. I have received a couple phone calls regarding whether people can set up tents, chairs. I think that was mainly it, was tents and chairs for the early voting, especially up here at the library. They were stating that, you know, some of these individuals, it's a long day, would like to sit down, you know, during the day and have some shade and those types of things. I spoke with Ms. Holloway. There was a resolution from 2024 that limited activity at early voting sites. This is in your packet today. And that resolution resolved in September of 2024 that there are no tables, tents, or chairs be allowed on any paved surface, including parking lot and sidewalks, that the campaigners must park in the designated area at each site. A parking area will be marked with signage and tape. The campaign signs are only allowed in the designated area at each site. Campaign sign area will be marked with signage and tape. So that was the resolution from 2024, and I had received some requests that the board revisit that resolution to allow for tables, tents, and chairs. Ms. Holloway, you have some history on this and can provide some background to the board, if you would.
I do. At early voting, there are issues because of the, we're required basically to use a public site. So it's usually a fire department, library, and there's limited space for parking, for campaigning, even for voting. So we've dealt with issues directing traffic, campaigners in the way of traffic. And then we've had people almost hit pedestrians. We've had signs that were placed too close to the exit to the road that blocked the view down the highway for voters pulling in and out. And even the most extreme case really is upstairs at the library because it's the busiest early voting site. It's also the library, which is open. They're still open for business. So we share that parking lot with the library, their patrons, and with the church. Part of that parking lot belongs to the church. They have a preschool there. So parking is limited, and when it's busy, we're all fighting over those spaces. So part of our solution, we discussed with the city of Monroe, they now allow us to park at the Science Center. So we direct our election officials and the campaigners and candidates that will be electioneering to park across the street. That leaves spaces open for the voters and for the library patrons. And then we had an issue with several tents and chairs in the parking lot. So they were taking up some of the parking spaces, and when the people were right against the parking spaces, so when the voters came in and were trying to get out of their car, they were right there with the voters. We had many complaints from them, from law enforcement. So what we tried to do was to restrict the use of tents or chairs in the parking lot, where they cannot set up in the parking lot, they cannot set up on the sidewalks, so it doesn't restrict the access of the voters going in and out, and for safety issues. Now, there is limited space upstairs. I agree with that. It's probably not the best solution for all, but considering our responsibility to the voter and to the safety of everyone there, at that time, the board felt this was the best solution. Hopefully, somewhere down the road, we'll be able to find another site in Monroe that the state will approve for early voting. It has, we're required to have a site at our office, or in lieu of site has to be within a couple of miles of our office, and the state has to approve it. Right now, we have the Griffin Room, and we're trying to do the best we can to work with that spot with the limitations that we have. But if the board has another solution, we'd be happy to hear that.
My understanding, because this is the first time that the city of Monroe will be part of another election, it's probably going to be a little bit busier up there as well.
Yes, and we rolled this out for the 2024 presidential. Our office didn't have any negative feedback at that time. And then for the municipal last year, we didn't have any negative feedback either. This is the first election that the city of Monroe will be participating in since we passed this resolution. So it is new to them. And I did have one call. 2 candidates were on that call, that called to discuss this, and they were city of Monroe candidates.
I have a question. So, okay, I didn't really review this real well before I stepped in here. So what I am saying is tables, tents, or chairs are not permitted on paved surfaces, including the parking lot and the sidewalk, other than, that's pretty much the main restriction. That's the big deal. Okay, I'm just gonna,
That's my understanding.
I'm gonna,
Campaign signs, we mark an area, and we have, when the candidates came in to file in December, we give a book, to them with information. The buffer zone is required by state law, and that's the area from the entrance to the polling site that we mark 50 feet from the entrance with the yellow tape and put signs up, no electioneering in that area. So that's a restriction from the state. And then we designated that area for campaign signs at each of the early voting sites. Like I said, they were so close to the road, it was dangerous, leaving the site.
my personal experience from voting at different early voting sites is parking is generally limited. Yeah, I don't, I mean, is there anybody making an argument that we have plenty of room and
I don't think the argument was that there's plenty of room. I think the argument was it's lawn days and sometimes those election campaigners might be needing rest.
well, they can go sit in their car like all the rest of us do?
Well, the parking is, and I'm just telling you what the argument is, the parking of their vehicles is across Windsor in the Science Center. So they would then have to cross Windsor, get to their car and sit down.
They have a library. There's a beautiful library there that's cool and shaded and air conditioned. You can go in and sit down and look at a book, catch up, use their Wi-Fi in the library. I mean, we have not had the luxury of having tents and tables and chairs set up as long as I've been voting in Union County and working as a campaigner.
Any other comments? Questions or concerns? You know, the resolution, you know, there is very limited spot to put your chair down. You know, and looking at the map and looking as I was coming in, you know, I had very limited areas. I take your point though, that they can go inside and sit down for a minute or two to have a spell. I'm not sure what the library would think about that, but.
Well, as somebody who worked as a poll greeter here at the library during the presidential, okay? And I am no spring chicken, and it was warm. However, there are trees and shade in that, campaign sign area. I mean, that was what we did.
That was my question. Will they be allowed to sit within the signage or under the, you know, in the shaded trees?
In that particular area,
Yeah.
if there's room, they can sit there and you can see, there's a few other spots that have trees and, in the area that
Yeah,
have
and then
some,
like on the.
have an
mulched
area under them that's not in the parking lot. It's just
Yeah,
inside the parking lot.
there is shade and there are grassy areas, which I can say from experience because I have had the pleasure of standing in the parking lot passing out literature.
I mean, I do agree, there's limited space. Again, this is the busiest site, and when you have, say you're gonna have 20 campaigners out there, say 20, and then everybody wants a tent and everybody wants a chair, it's hard to manage. It's hard to get the
And that's gonna
voters
get
in,
carried
to
away
get the
real
voters in
fast.
and out.
That could
So
get out of
it
hand.
is a hard problem to balance, but we found this to be the best solution at that time.
At the other sites, you always get asked, can I use the bathroom? But I think at the other sites, at least the last time I remember, we had some porta johns. Will that still be?
Right, that was an issue. So we started renting the porta johns and have one at each early voting site. That's not required, but except for the library, because the library can come in the other entrance and use the restroom without going through the buffer zone. They can't come in the main entrance of the library and use
Yeah,
that
we
restroom.
couldn't, realistically, we couldn't let one campaign do this without letting all of them do this.
That's right, it would be open to everyone.
And you can't necessarily say, you can't let one, I mean, you can't even necessarily say, well, you're gonna do it by party because you are gonna have independents, I mean, not necessarily so much, well, yeah, even through the primaries, you're gonna have independents, Democrats, Republicans, and and there's a lot of different organizations that sponsor campaign people, whether they're poll greeters or yeah, there's a lot of different organizations, and I don't know how you would tell all of them yes. That would be difficult. Put y'all in an awkward position.
Well, I've been at a number of the sites, and I'm hard pressed to think of anyone other than maybe the Mineral Springs parking lot that have a lot of space. Because voters have a hard enough time finding the parking, although, like at the Wesley Chapel up in Newtown, pull into that farmer's field. And I think the other Wesley Chapel has a space. So it's hard enough parking the voters is my point, let alone having tents and chairs, and all that type of stuff.
Any other comments or questions? All right, I guess the way I'm going to do it is, do I have a motion to amend the 2024 resolution regarding limitation on activity at early voting sites? Hearing none, then I have to move any further. All right, the resolution will stay in effect.
This is, have the chief judges, do they get this so they understand?
It's already marked, and they have the space where overflow is at the Wesley Chapels. They also have, it's clearly staked out where those signs are, and it says campaign signs here. And they have everything, and so do the candidates.
Because last time, somebody moved some stuff there, and we didn't fully understand what it was at that point in time. But somebody came out, I don't remember who came out, but somebody came out and said, no, this is it.
I think my suggestion would be, if you're gonna wanna put a chair down under one of the trees that's there early enough, and share a chair when you leave your shift, would be the recommendation. All right, moving on to the next item of new business, we have chief judge and party judge appointments, and I guess these are substitutions.
Yes, so these are all substitutions from who was originally sworn in these positions. We have received some names from the Republican Party that replaced some of the cancellations. We have an adjustment to make on this sheet. Precinct number 2, the chief judge, Christy Meyer, canceled within the last couple hours, and Colleen McGill canceled within the last couple hours. So those two we do not have a replacement for at this time. But all others have been trained and are ready to be appointed for this election.
I'm sorry, can you repeat who canceled?
So precinct number 2, Christy Meyer, and precinct number 15, Colleen McGill, have canceled within the last several hours and will not be working.
Did you get somebody?
And we do not have at
26.
26 a party judge at this time for the Democratic Party. So we still have to fill that spot.
Any questions?
And do you have a backup or two?
We do not, we've gone through all of our backups, our alternates, everything at this point. We started our training on January 24th. We've had to reschedule that twice due to the weather. We had about 25 cancellations that individuals did not show up to training. We have new training dates coming up next February 19th and 20th as a chief judge makeup class and party judges and help desk. So we have 3 more classes due to all the cancellations that
You
we've
said
had.
19th and
19th and 20th. So February 19th will be a chief judge class, and February 20th will be party judges, EOs, and help desk.
And this is election day.
This is election day, correct?
Are we okay on
We'll survive.
early voting?
So these are all the replacements from the original swear-in who was appointed from the names given. These individuals need to be approved.
Is there any other questions from the board, comments? All right, do I hear a motion to approve the chief and party judge substitutions for the March 2nd, 2026 primary with the deletion of chief judge in precinct 2 and chief judge in precinct 15?
So moved, and thank everybody else for serving.
And we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Logic and accuracy testing.
That's me. So the logic and accuracy testing for the upcoming election is completed with the exception of some equipment that is being utilized for training purposes. But all of the equipment for early voting has been tested for accuracy and function and verified. It's all programmed correctly. Half of it's already deployed at this point. The other half will be deployed tomorrow and will be ready for early voting to start on Thursday. All of the election day scanners are also programmed. They've been tested. The tape's been verified, showing that it was accurate results from the testing. And I have before me the serials and the dates and verifications of everything. I'll just pass this down. This is the board's copy, and we'll enter this into the record if you would like, please. And the other equipment that is still outstanding, after training is completed, it'll be undergo the same process and everything will be ready to go. Everything for the most part is, but some of that equipment we do have to utilize for training. And just as Sharon said, we're still conducting those training classes at this time. So as
Thanks, Greg.
well, you know, it's what we have to do every time. It's not a big deal, but we utilize the actual equipment to give them a hands-on training so they know what to do on election day. So, and I will say that the high-speed scanners and everything, those were tested prior to last week's meeting where we actually ran ballots. That was all conducted before then. So,
Well, thank you. Any questions?
So, under this provisional ballot printer,
yes.
have anything for precincts 1 through 27?
So that's the equipment that is being utilized at training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I can't officially mark those off until after training is completed, but they're probably getting the most testing right now because they're used in training class. So they've been tested really, really good. So they're essentially ready. They just have to be reprogrammed with the actual production software. Right now they have training software on there that prints a ballot that's a test ballot. It can't be used on election day. So after training is complete, I'll reprogram all of that equipment. Then everything will be officially ready to go for election day.
I think you said the computers that we're using this time are all new or substantially new?
So we've, over the past couple of years, undergone quite a bit of poll book refresh and ATV printer refresh. So many of the computers that are being sent out this time to early voting sites, everybody has pretty new stuff in the past couple of years. And also they're up to date with the latest versions of Windows. So yeah, that's correct. So we just have to do that every once in a while to keep up with technology. So, but we're pretty good. We're in pretty good shape in that aspect right now.
These are actually designated where they're going.
Yes, and there's also, if you see on there, there's also seals. So after they're tested, there's tamper seals that are put on everything. So we have all those on that list too.
I see this.
And we, if you pull those seals off beforehand, it says void. So that's the election officials are instructed to check those seals before the election, after delivery, to make sure that nothing's been tampered with. And I will say that this testing also includes hash testing, which is not required yet by the state. It's something that we've been doing for the past couple of years. It's an additional step, and what that does is it exports the software hashes from the programming that are on the machines, and that's like a digital fingerprint. And then you compare that with a file that we get from the EAC, and those two match up, and that way you know that nothing inside the software on the machine has been modified.
What's EAC?
The Elections Assistance Commission. It's a federal entity. So they hold the files if we request those.
All righty. I can share. Didn't mean to be greedy there.
So,
Oh, we've been pretty happy with our equipment. It's probably at this point, we're probably about halfway through, or a little more than halfway through its life cycle. So it generally will last about 10 years, and we're on about year 6 now. So Hart has come out with a new next generation of equipment, but it has to go through approval through the state before we can even look at purchasing it. So we'll be using this equipment for at least the next couple of years at this point. But it's been good equipment. The poll workers like it. We like it. Generally receives a lot of compliments.
It's done very well on the recounts.
It has.
Yeah.
It's proved itself over and over again. We've had many recounts, and the results come back the same. The hand-eye audits that verifies that the machines are accurate. So they're very accurate machines as far as that goes. The only time a result may change is when I overvote or undervote from a marginal mark, or somebody's overvoting. You can tell that with a human eye through a hand-eye recount, but that's also very rare, generally speaking.
As once upon a time when I was out working in the precincts, and you explained all the security features, I was very, very reassured. As one of those people who was alarmed. I was alarmed by what I was hearing until I listened to you and all the safeguards and the,
And there's a lot of information out there. And one of the reasons we did go with Hart on our last purchase of equipment is because their security was better than the competitors. Each ballot that we use and each ballot that we print basically has its own serial number. So you can't scan that ballot twice. The machine keeps a record of that. So if you scanned a ballot in the machine and somehow got it back and said, I'm going to cast it again, or if somebody got a ballot and they went and made copies of it, even if they were perfect copies, the machine's going to kick it out because it knows it's already scanned that ballot. It's like a serial number on a dollar bill. So,
that's reassuring.
That is my favorite part.
yeah. That was ours too. And I think some of the competitors have been playing catch up to that. I think their new stuff may have that, but at the time they did not have that functionality.
That's remarkable on the printer side though too, isn't it? We're not talking provisional ballots, we're talking about all of the ballots.
Right, every ballot.
That's remarkable on the printer side too, the person who, or whatever company generates those ballots.
And we buy our ballots from Hart. That's who we get our ballots from. So they're pretty much a one-stop shop. Now, with all the ballots of early voting, we do print on site, but it is with Hart's ballot stock that is watermarked and you can only get from them. It's a specific weight of paper. And if you hold a ballot up to the light, it says official ballot.
So that's also would be the overseas ballots that we're transposing would also be on their stock, wouldn't?
Right, we use their stock to transpose it, yeah. All those ballots, because we have to print them, we print them on the official stock, so it goes through.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Phil. All right, on to the staff reports. Director's report, Ms. Holloway.
Yes, I wanted to let the board know that we currently have 6 open petitions for unaffiliated candidates. You know, this is the partisan primary, but a candidate that is registered as unaffiliated can appear on the November ballot by going through the petition process. So they open a petition in our office, and then the state has listed the percentage of registered voters in that district that they're required to get signatures from. Right now, we have 4 for City of Monroe, and those are 1.5% of the registered voters in the city. So when they opened that candidate, that was the number as of the first of the year. So each of those are required to get 330 signatures from registered voters within the city. Turn those in by noon on the day of the primary. Then we have at least 2 weeks after that to verify that those are indeed registered voters and live in that jurisdiction. If so, that petition is certified, and then they will move directly and appear on the November ballot as an unaffiliated candidate. So we have 3 for Monroe City Council, 1 for Monroe Mayor. We have another candidate for Board of Education District 3. That is 4% for Board of Education is 4% of the voters in that district. That number is 1,263. Then we have another candidate for Board of Education District 6. That's 1,344. So we have some of the candidates, we asked them to go ahead and turn in signatures as they receive them, so we can go ahead and start processing, not to receive a big clump on election day. So we have been processing for many of these candidates. We have another petition that there was what we see as possibly a little concern that we forward that petition to the state board for review. And I haven't heard back from them yet on that. But legal counsel at the state is looking at that and going to give us some guidance on that additional petition.
Okay, so I got a total of 6.
Yes, a
Okay.
total of 6, and then 1 that's pending state board guidance,
And then, okay, and I caught District 6 School Board. What was the other one?
District 3.
Okay.
When they collect the signatures, do they have to be mutually exclusive? So for instance, the 3 for the Monroe City Council, they can get all the same people signing the same petition?
They could. I haven't seen that happen so far, but they could. We give them a signature sheet that the state provides where the voter prints their name, address, birth date, and then signs. So they turn those in, and then we verify them in the system and open that petition in the system, and the SEAMS keeps account of how many voters were approved, as we enter that information.
And did you say it was only 330 they need for the city of Monroe?
For City of Monroe, yes, yes. And we also had a request about a write-in candidate. A write-in can do a petition also. They only need 100 signatures. However, only a line will appear on the ballot if they're approved for a write-in. So you would have that little line. The voter would still have to write their name in and circle that box for those votes to count.
Otherwise, it just doesn't appear. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the name would not be printed on the
Well,
ballot,
and it wouldn't even say.
just the write-in line. They're just approved to be counted as a write-in, basically, for the petition.
But I know some contests, you're not even allowed to write in. Is that the
Yes,
case?
yes. And nonpartisan contests always have a write-in line. For
Uh-huh.
nonpartisan, partisan do not unless, like, you were qualified, a qualified write-in. Any questions on that? Observer deadline, the deadline to submit observers for the first day of early voting is 12 noon tomorrow. And party chairs can email or drop off that list at our office, and they can be submitted daily through early voting. and they usually are. So every day, we're sharing those new lists with the chief judges at the early voting sites. Election day list of observers is due on noon the day before the election. And we made the party chairs aware of those dates. And I also wanted to mention that we received a request from 2 fire chiefs in the county to sign use and liability agreements. The original, there's a few fire departments that we sign a use agreement with just for the facility use of their building, like if we use it as a training site or even on election day, that basically just clarifies the dates and times and cleanup. These 2 agreements that we received last week were very detailed. There was a lot that conflicted with North Carolina law, which I let them know about that and asked to speak with the attorney that drafted that document. A consultant drafted it, not an attorney. They made some changes. It still was not anything we could even come close to signing here. So I forward that, since the fire departments are funded with county tax dollars, county funds and tax dollars, and we're a county department, I forwarded that to county legal and the risk manager, and one of the assistant county managers. I also contacted the State Board of Elections Council, and we've been having conversations about it, and the state basically doesn't think there's a need for that agreement. So at this point, we're providing the certificate of insurance to the fire departments. Other than that,
Are these election day or?
these are early
voting?
voting sites.
Early voting
But
sites.
2 early voting sites, yes,
Oh, my.
yes.
Oh, my.
Any idea what generated this?
They indicated that their insurance carrier had asked for the agreement, but we only received it from 2, not from all the fire departments.
Aren't they all kind of independent?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, thank you for the update.
There are temporary voting facilities available if we need it?
Well, we notify the early voting sites of our intent 90 days before, 90 days advance notice, and they're required by law to respond in a certain time period. And if they object to that, then they would be required to help find a alternate site. If not, that will go to the state board, since these are public facilities.
So getting the agreement, I'm assuming, was past the deadline to respond to the.
Well, we delivered to one of the sites today, as we delivered to 4 early voting sites today, 4 tomorrow. There was no problem with that.
Talia, anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Solomon? Mr. Meadows, voter registration.
Yes, I will be giving the voter registration report for January. As of the end of January, we had a total of 182,178 registrations. We had 161,263 active, 21,015 were inactive. Registrations approved, 1,610. 398 registrations were removed, Out of the 398, 64 registrations were inactive. New registrations for January were 2,463. Duplicate registrations were 861. That's, the duplicate registrations are registrations that we received that the voter did not have any changes at all. That's what the duplicates are. Changes of information, we had 565. We'll go to the verifications, 1,967 were first and second verification mailings. 49, NCOA mailings were sent. That's the National Change of Address mailing that we do twice a year, January and July. That's mandatory by the state. That voters that are registered and then do a change of address at the post office, that we get the information to try to keep the records clean as possible. We have some that's moved away to another state, or some may be reported deceased voters, or they moved out of state, or moved within the county, or moved to another county within the state. So we sent out 2,049, and we'll make a more detailed report in the next meeting on what we received. 52 registrations, first verifications were returned undeliverable. 29 were verifications were returned by the voter. Confirmations, 2 confirmations were returned by the voter. 33 confirmations were sent, and 1 was not returned at all. Then in the latter part of the statistical, we have it by party, by race, by ethnicity, and by gender. And also for the new board member, you may be saying, what are all these numbers under each category? That's the source code. That's where we receive our registrations from. We get most of our registrations from DMV. And then of course we get some over the, they come in to our office. Next report is the party change crosstab report. We had 245 party changes for January. And on the left is the original party, and then going across, it tells what party that they changed to. Next report is the voter statistical by precinct. And that's for your review. And between December and January, we gained 2,053 registrations. And that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now on to outreach, Ms. Jordan.
Musical chairs. Okay. So for the month of January, we had 2 events for outreach. We had an event at St. Paul's Parish Hall and at the Monroe Rotary Club. So Philip Henson was an individual who went to both of those outreach events, and it was just basically on the updates for this upcoming election. Also, so you know that we started our training back on January 24th. We had classes going all the way through February 5th due to Mother Nature and the weather. We had to cancel those and reschedule them. We just finished up our training on Super Bowl Sunday and had classes, 2 classes on that day as well this weekend. And we are now going to have our final makeup classes on the 19th and 20th of February. Hopefully.
Just in time, if it doesn't snow again.
Pardon?
Just in time.
Yes, yes.
Was that?
I reviewed that. And no more snow here. In the morning.
Any questions for Ms. Jordan? Thank you. Ms. Lopez, absentee and early voting.
All right, so we did our training right before Sharon did. We actually trained 125. We had early voting workers, including the chief judges, party judges, for early voting staff. We have had individuals that are not going to be able to work. It happens every year. We train them and then they're otherwise occupied. So we've had several people fall off, less than 10 so far, but there's some iffies on the list. So early voting starts this Thursday. We had set up upstairs in the lobby yesterday. Today, we had 4 sites set up. Philip and a whole pack of our staff have gone out and completed that today and made sure everything works properly. The early voting chief judges have picked up their keys. They know how to get in. We will start that on Thursday. We have 4 more sites to set up, which will be Waxhaw side, including Mineral Springs. Do you have a question? Okay, I'm sorry. And then y'all have your statistics in your booklet that shows how many ballots have been requested, 214 so far. And we've only gotten back 23, which includes, it depends on the time that it was ran, but that should include the ones from today.
How many we have for today?
Over here. We're playing musical chairs, sorry. 12. And that's 8 civilian, 1 military, and 3 overseas at the 5 o'clock meeting. Are there any questions about the absentee statistics or early voting training and when we will be starting?
We have to be received by when?
What's that, the ballots?
Absentee? Yeah.
When do the ballots have to come back? Ballots have to come back to our office no later than 7:30 p.m. on election day. Final request will be 1 week prior to election day to request in person or by mail.
Other questions? Thank you so much. All right, on to general discussion. Do we have anything for the good of the order? Thank Ms. Powers for agreeing to serve as vice chair.
Welcome.
And at this point, then I guess we'll need an adjournment. Have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned. Our next meeting here starts in 12 minutes.
Oh, boy.